Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Real Science Exchange, the pubcast where leading scientists and industry professionals meet over a few drinks to discuss the latest ideas and trends in animal nutrition. Tonight, we're in Saratoga Springs, New York, at the National Dairy Challenge with the organizers of the National Dairy Challenge. To my right here is Amy tePlate-Church. Amy, I didn't think I'd get through that, but I did.
Perfect.
But if you wouldn't mind, give me a quick overview of who you are and what do you do for the Dairy Challenge?
Yes, certainly. So I've been involved with the Dairy Challenge, going on 12 or 13 years. You know how time flies.
Yes.
So I've done that in different roles, from being a volunteer to start, and then a leader of our publicity efforts at one point, a member of the national board, and then on the planning committee for last year at the National in Green Bay.
Oh, thank you. Dr. Van Amburgh, welcome back to the Real Science Exchange. Good to see you here.
Good to see you, Scott.
Same for you, about a 15-second overview.
Yeah. So I got started with the Dairy Challenge in 2003 when we first hosted it at Cobleskill, New York. That was the first regional contest. I've been the coach at Cornell ever since in the nationals. I've been on the board. I've been chair. I've been organizer. I've kind of done it all.
Yeah. Excellent. And to my left is my co-host, Dr. Jeff Elliott. Jeff, glad to have you back here again.
Scott.
I know you're on the committee as well. Why don't you give us a quick overview of who you are and what you do?
I may be the younger one of the group as far as being on the, not age-wise, but experience.
I got you.
Okay. Kristi's kicking me under the table. So from an experience standpoint, 3 or 4 years maybe, part of the southern region, but also on the national board with several of the ones on here. At this specific event, I was one of the Academy advisors.
Excellent. Kristi.
Kristi Fiedler. I've been involved with Dairy Challenge since 2008 when Amy tePlate brought me to the National Dairy Challenge in Madison. And I've held several roles, helped with Midwest planning, been a judge, been an advisor, and most recently I'm on my 6th year on the board, and this year as board of the National Dairy Challenge.
Very well. And Barry.
Well, I've been here 20 years working on the Dairy Challenge in various capacities. I've been the chairman of the board of directors for the Dairy Challenge, and this year I was asked to be the host to bring it here in Saratoga, so I'm happy to do that.
Very well. Thank you for that. Kristi, I'm going to start with you. Tell us what the Dairy Challenge is.
Sure. So the Dairy Challenge is an event where we bring colleges from around the country and in Canada to come together, and they come to one location to get real life hands-on experience of what people do in the industry. And so it gives them a chance to learn, it gives them a chance to network, and at the same time compete. And it's really fun watching these students and how it's thrived over the years and how the schools have advanced their programs, and the competition has just gotten tougher and tougher because the presentations and what the students deliver to the farms that they've gone to has been astonishing.
That's awesome. How many teams competing this year?
So this year we have 31 competition teams. There's 4 students in each team, and then we also have 142 students participating in the Academy. And even more special, this year the Academy is celebrating their 10th anniversary.
Very nice. And Amy, what makes a Dairy Challenge different?
I think this is the one place that you can come and really meet so many of the leaders in the dairy industry that come from different sectors. So you have leading producers in the area, you have the industry, the consultants that are serving them, and then the universities and experts that bring the students. And that's really all about the students. You know, they are the next generation, and they are the ones that are going to take this excellent industry even to another level as they learn and grow their skills.
I want to hear about how things have changed from Mike. He's been in it for a while, and how's the program itself matured?
That's a really good question. I guess I'd start by saying when we started this whole thing, you know, the original intent was to be able to get students. There was a desire to want to not change college curriculums, but to integrate curriculums to, we're all going to learn about the biology of the cow. We're going to learn about some human resource management. We're going to talk about cow management. What we were missing also was financial management. And the intent was to bring all of that together So people who are out serving, either acting as a dairy farmer for a profession or serving the dairy farmers as part of the allied industry, could actually have functional conversations about how you do all of that, right? And we move ahead. So when we started, I think the biggest difference from now till then was a lot of colleges and a lot of students didn't know how to do that, right? They didn't know how to think about, they hadn't taken any financial accounting. They didn't know how to do a partial budget, and now all of a sudden we're asking them to tell us, what kind of milk they're making at peak and mid lactation, and then what the cost of production is, and then what the margin is on that, and then what may need to happen to make that better, right? And what the financial ramification is. The biggest change is we now have lots of students here who can do all of that, right? And they can have arguments about, did you do your budget right? Is that the right margin? Did you do your EBITDA correctly? We're talking about EBITDA now, right? We never did, that wasn't even on the radar screen, 20 years ago. So it's made tremendous progress.
Yeah, I can say as a sponsor that we come here to recruit these students, and it's been amazing because they come out and they are ready. They are prepared for what they're going to do in the real world. And so we're always looking for this on resumes. And many of our nutritionists that are out there came from Dairy Challenge, and they can talk to their professors and what they've learned. And it makes our job easier for training them because they're that much further advanced.
Yeah. I'm going to throw this next question out to the group. We talk about the Dairy Challenge being for the students, but it's for the industry as well, right? It's where the students aren't the only ones benefiting. Can we maybe talk about some of the benefits? You talked about, the nutritionists that are populating the countryside out there. What are some of the other benefits?
I see the benefit a lot as networking, that we do talk to the students. Most of these students are going to end up back in industry or back on the farm, but a lot of them, there is time. I just talked to a sponsor today that, when the students aren't around, they're talking. So they're sharing ideas, they're sharing what works in their company, in their organizations. And quite honestly, we always used to say it's about your first job, but it's really about your second or third career that you will have in a different organization.
Yeah, well said. Amy, I'm going to ask you to kind of close this out. How can the industry engage with the Dairy Challenge?
So the short answer would be to say yes. So when you're asked to be a part of the Dairy Challenge, then say yes. So as a farm, that could look like inviting a team, even for a practice session, Mike. You go out onto farms and say yes to having students come and visit your dairy. Farmers could be judges, advisors at the academy. And for the industry, then certainly sponsoring through financial support or in-kind donations, and having expertise here as judges, advisors, volunteering committee. So one of the real benefits of Dairy Challenge is it moves around the country. And we have 4 regional events in addition to this national. So there's a Dairy Challenge coming near you. So say yes when you're asked.
Oh, very well. Well said. This is obviously a well-run event. It's amazing the amount of time that you guys put into it. I just want to personally thank you guys for your commitment and the time that you put into the students. So thank you. And thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tonight's pubcast stories are brought to you by ReaShure Precision Release Choline. ReaShure is the most researched encapsulated choline on the market today, consistently delivering results to your transition cows of higher peak milk, reduced metabolic disorders, and even in utero benefits to her calf, leading to growth and health improvements. Visit balchem.com to learn more.
All right, Jeff, we're back here with the host producers here at the National Dairy Challenge this week. With us is Maxwell Chittenden from Dutch Hollow, Liam Hanehan from Turning Point Dairy, and Kyle Getty from Ideal Dairy. Maxwell, I think we're going to start with you. Would you mind giving me about a 30-second overview of your dairy?
So our farm is all Jersey cows, and it's me and 8 other family members. Mostly I'm on the crop and tractor side, and then my dad and my brother-in-law are on the cow side, and then I still have my grandparents, my sister there with the calves. We do about 2,000 acres milk 850 cows, 900.
And Liam, how about you? Just give us a 30-second overview.
Okay, yeah, I'm part of the 5th generation. It's me, my cousin, and my brother. I do the operations management. My brother does the herd management. My cousin does the shop management and crops. We milk 920. We're very close to the city center. We're just outside of the city limits, basically, in Saratoga. And we're excited to be here. We're excited to hear everybody's opinion of our farm. Mostly critical, which is always good. Those are the best opinions.
Yeah, very well. And Kyle, how about you?
So Ideal Dairy is located about 30 minutes north of here. Multi-generation as well. It's a family partnership. We have 2 senior partners, John and Denise Dickinson, and then 3 younger partners, myself, my brother Luke, and Crystal Grimaldi are the 3 kind of the operating partners at the farm. We milk about 3,500 cows and farm about 5,000 acres.
All right, thank you. Now, as part of the challenge, you guys basically open up your farm to the students, right? They have access to your facilities, your cows, your records. You'd mentioned it before. They found some negative things. So how does that make you feel?
Well, it's nice because we all have lists of things that we would like to see changed. And what's really cool is seeing these students that get 2 hours on our farm. They have 2 days to come up with basically what we spend a lifetime trying to figure out. And seeing the things on our list get checked off by these students, seeing them pick out the exact same things is really cool. It's really impressive. Plus all the things that aren't on our lists that are added to it after today. I've got my list here. It was really pretty cool to see. And it's a lot easier opening up our dairy to people we know are in the industry and we know are looking to better themselves and us at the same time. It's a lot easier to do for sure.
Did most of the students see your dairy the way you do?
I think so. They all started off with strengths of the dairy, and it's always good to see the strengths too before the critiques.
Yeah, yeah. What about you? To hear anything that you hadn't heard before, anything that was disappointing?
There were some new things, but nothing too major that wasn't already on our radar before. I mean, it's always scary opening up our farm and financials of strangers, but they're all smart and bringing a new set of eyes to what we would probably overlook on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, yeah, very well.
I would agree with that. It's always nice to have a unique set of eyes that have never been to the farm, things that we overlook on a day-to-day basis, and we're in the constant pursuit of improvement. So constructive feedback is very welcome. I mean, we're always striving to get better, and having that unique set of eyes to point things out, and then putting numbers to it. I mean, there's a strong emphasis on financials here of say, okay, you can make a recommendation, but how are you going to pay for it, or does this have the financial implications of how does that work at the farm level? And they're thinking big picture from that perspective as they present these ideas, which is nice.
I really like how you said that. As dairy producers, we get such tunnel vision day to day. It's hard sometimes to pick up on things. Sometimes my cousin who works on the crop side will come over and say, that fan's broken. And that fan's been broken for months and I've been walking right by it. But I get such a tunnel vision in my day-to-day. It's cool to get everybody else's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. So was there anything, or do you have an example of something unexpected that you heard today or that fascinated you, that I need to really look into that?
It was mostly all the groups had a lot of the same ideas and kind of honed in on, okay, this is a problem.
What about you other two?
I think it was interesting. Each group presentation that I saw, everybody there was definitely some commonality, but there was definitely some unique perspectives, probably caused by the regionality of it. I mean, kids that come from the West Coast, I mean, it was really interesting. The first thing they said, they saw the TMR screenings and they said, where's the dry hay? So the regional perspective of having kids from all over the country and a dairy here in the Northeast is very different than what you might see in South Texas or in Idaho. So that was pretty unique for us to kind of see those different perspectives.
Liam?
one of the things they caught us on is we had stopped entering in some of our calf treatments into dairy comp. And we had stopped maybe 6 months ago. And it was one of those things that just gets forgotten about. And then as it gets forgotten, all of a sudden, that's the new protocol. We don't enter in treatments. And every single group caught us on it and said, well, we didn't have any data on the calves. And we knew we had to make improvements on the calves, but their point was that you can't make improvements and measure it without that information in dairy comp. So that was one of the things that we were tunnel vision on.
Yeah. So building on that, is that something now that you're going to change back to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the first thing on my list.
Anything else that you may change after this experience?
Yes, but our whole calf protocol is pretty lacking. We had a little bit of a change up where my mother was actually the calf manager and she's retired. Then my aunt was the calf manager, then she retired. So right now we don't actually have a calf manager, and I think we've just been pushing it off. So I think that's one of the big things is developing somewhat of a calf manager, whether it's promoting a feeder now into calf management or having one of us owners take on that extra responsibility. That's a big one.
Yeah, good. Maxwell, anything you heard today that's going to make some changes?
Nothing's going to happen overnight, obviously, but I think we all have our eyes on one thing, mostly just cow comfort and bunk management, keeping parlors more efficient, protocols in the parlors, helping keep the milk cleaner. It's just things like that to hone in on.
Yeah, perfect. And Kyle?
A commonality between the groups, they recognize some opportunities in the transition cows and a few milk quality things that maybe we were overlooking in the parlor, which would be immediately implementable, I guess. So that was some nice ready feedback that we could turn around and possibly even implement next week.
Yeah. So now I heard that a couple of you have participated in the Dairy Challenge when you guys were in college. Can you guys maybe talk a little bit about your experience and how it's impacted you?
So I went out to South Dakota in 2007 with Dr. Van Amburgh, and that was a real eye-opening experience, getting to meet and interact with students from all over the country, and it was just never been to that area of the country, and seeing that regional dairy industry and what makes it unique and how it thrives, what kind of processors they're trying to service, and it was just opens your eyes, getting away from your home area and seeing how things are done differently in different areas.
Liam, were you?
I think it was Maxwell.
Was it
Not to put you on the
Maxwell?
spot.
I only did the academy, but it was nice going out there, seeing how Dairy Challenge works, meeting all the people from all around the country, working together with them in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
On the time crunch, and seeing what we could come up with.
Yeah, very well. Well, listen, folks, appreciate you guys spending some time with us today. I know this has been a huge commitment for you, so we appreciate all you do for the Dairy Challenge. Thank you. Welcome back to the Real Science Exchange. We're here at National Dairy Challenge, and we're here with Stuart and Jessica Zyme from Teashook Dairies. Stuart, why don't you start us off, give us just a real quick overview of the dairy farm.
Yep, so we're a family farm. I'm a fourth generation dairy farmer, and we crop about 2,200 acres and milk just over 1,000 cows. And we've been on the farm for quite a while. My father moved to the area in the 60s and has grown it over the years with us, and we've all returned back to the farm, and now we're trying to keep it rolling for the next generation.
Awesome. You know, I've had the good pleasure of being at your farm before and met Jessica. We did a photo shoot there in preparation for an article that we did for our Real Faces of Dairy celebration that was designed to honor and celebrate the American dairy farmer. I want to thank you for that. But that aside, why don't you give us just a quick overview of what you do on the dairy, Jessica?
So what I'm doing on the dairy is trying to diversify our offerings. Over the past 10 years or so, we have got into the beef and pork business, and it made a lot of sense. It's a nice complement to the dairy. We are in kind of a area that is close to consumers, and so you know, we're thankful and blessed with that. We also have a pumpkin stand that has grown over the years, and COVID certainly has helped those two commodities tremendously in bringing more people our way. enhancing, our visibility. And so over the past year, we've worked on building a farm store and renovating an old barn that was underutilized, not utilized on our farm anymore. It's about 200 years old, and we renovated that into a farm store that offers not only our products, but other local products. And in addition, it's an authentic experience for people to come visit and just be in the country and enjoy the fresh air and an authentic farm setting.
Cool. Jeff, I understand that Teoshook Dairy was the host farm for the Academy. Why don't you give us an overview of exactly what is the Academy?
So the Academy, as you both are aware, is a little bit different than the contest. It's more educational based. And so it gives those younger students, the 2-year students, a chance to participate, but also to continue their learning. But at the same time, they get to go through the same experience. They get records. They tour the dairy. They have to put a presentation together and present it without being judged, shall we say, but we were able to ask questions. And this year was phenomenal. We've changed it over the years. And I was fortunate enough with my team, we visited their farm. And it was a great experience. So I don't even know, we had probably 60, 80 students there coming off 2 buses, and they just overwhelmed the place. And I do know, based on the, give you a little background, then we'll get into what they presented. But at first going in, there were a couple of things all the students thought they were going to find. They were head set on it. They were going there first. And not to, it was had to do with the calves. And they get there and the calves look phenomenal. And they're all like, oh, we got to find something else. And so they start looking for things and thinking about what they had evaluated the night before. And then right before we get, they have questions for these guys. And then right before they get on the bus, Stuart, can you tell us what you told them?
Yeah, so we're trying to challenge the younger students to think about, as we continue to operate, like, where can we invest in order to keep the farm sustainable and to really move it forward. And we've been struggling as a team to determine where is the best dollar spent. So we said, if you had $1 million or if you had $2 million, where is the best use of it? How could we spend it, and how would it fit best for our farm? And I think they really enjoyed the challenge, and it was good to see them kind of go back and their wheels start spinning, and the presentations were really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did they come up with some of the same investments that you've been considering?
So it was interesting to see. They were thinking very similar, and I made sure that when we wrapped it up after their presentations, I kind of reviewed some of them, with them. But for our family, a milking parlor has been something that we've been tossing the idea around for many years, and I think we've done a good job of maxing that parlor out. I don't think that we can put many more cows through it. So one team did a really nice job of presenting the investment in that, what it could do for our cows and our time away from pen in order to, get the cows milked quickly, return them back to their pens. That helps with milk components, and it also helps us reduce some labor, because in New York State we're challenged with a lot of changes and increased in labor costs and those type of things. So another thing I was appreciative of them pointing out was, because they're a little younger generation than me even, is this the increased investment in technology. And I think sometimes on the dairy we're a little, maybe hesitant to make that change or make the shift. And I kind of came away today as a good reminder to say, hey, it's coming and we should be looking at that.
Interesting. So Jeff had mentioned that, they were there looking for problems, wanted to find some with the calves. So you're basically opening up your books, you're opening up the farm, giving them access to the cattle. Do you find it disconcerting at all that they're looking for problems?
No, I think that if there was anything when I was a student, when I toured a farm, I wanted the whole story, and I didn't want anything to be left out. And I wanted to really understand all aspects of it, whether it was financial or whether it was the partnerships that made up the business or the facilities. So I never once really have felt, like offended or maybe they've crossed the line. I just think for them to really understand how the dairy farm runs, they have to be able to see that whole picture of all of the money that comes in and all the money goes out and the decisions that we make on a daily basis, related to that.
Interesting. Jessica, did you or Stuart, did either one of you participate in the Dairy Challenge when you guys were in college? Did they have it?
I just missed it.
Okay.
I graduated from Cornell, and then the program was started, shortly after that.
Okay.
Same for you?
I missed it by a little bit of a longer shot. But it is an amazing program, and it was great to see the kids. It was great to see their curiosity, and the questions that they asked were just so detailed. I mean, they really were looking at every nook and cranny of the farm, and it was inspiring to see, like, that's the future of this dairy industry right there. And just a wonderful experience to be able to share our farm with them. If it helps them learn, and it helps us learn more about, by having a, outsider's point of view, to point out some things, it's great. We actually had met with some dairy students a couple days before the contest, and they weren't coming to our farm, and the coach had been to our farm before as a Dairy Challenge contestant, and she took a picture of the doorknob on the milk house, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited." She goes, "When I was here, this was one of our recommendations, is to replace this door, and you needed a doorknob." And I come back a couple years later, and there's a doorknob and a brand new door. She was so excited.
Oh, that's
It's like, that's awesome.
I think what's really cool is I when I was following up with the students, I said, guys, in a very short period of time, you took a snapshot of our farm and you made some very good recommendations. And I said, I've spent 20 years trying to work on these things to move the dairy farm forward, and what they presented back to us in such a short period of time, I was just very impressed. I thought it was really great.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious you guys are committed to this and you see value in it for your dairy and for the industry. And I just want to thank you for the commitment and investment that you're making in the Dairy Challenge.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. All right, we're here at the Dairy Challenge with 3 of the coaches from this year's competition. Jeff, would you do the honors and introduce them, please?
I can certainly do that, and I've got to know all 3 of these a little bit more each year. Some of them I see about once a year, others a few times, but we've got Lauren Mayo. First got to know her, I think you were at Tuskegee, is that right?
Yep.
And now she's at North Carolina A&T State. And we've got Joe Domecq down here. He would be probably our seasoned coach. Has probably seen more changes and now it's seasoned, and at Michigan State University. And then we've got Sean Willert, and he's at Ohio State ATI.
One of the things I'd like to start, and maybe Lauren, we'll start with you. So
Okay.
How do you prepare the students for the Dairy Challenge? What's the process look like?
That's a really good question. So, like Dr. Elliott said, that I've kind of been around for a little bit. And so I actually started as an undergrad. So that kind of at University of Florida. And so having that opportunity to actually go on farms before coming to the contest, to actually look at real data was really important. And so now that I've through grad school, as we all know, you travel around the world for grad school in different places. So as I've coached several different teams at different places, it changes mostly based on the students. But definitely I make sure each semester to go on at least 2 dairy farms, and then make sure that they've taken a dairy production course, and then maybe an additional hour or 2 each week just to go over some more numbers and get them used to seeing those things. And then speaking practice is probably the next biggest thing. I tell all of my students they have to have that confidence, that eagerness to learn, and just being ready for anything that comes at them. So those are the biggest things for me.
Very well. How about you guys? You want to add anything to that?
So, I'm in a unique position because I only teach 2-year students. So we're a technical school. So I only have them for about 4 semesters. So our program's pretty unique in that our classes are pretty much exclusively dairy centric in animal sciences that they take. So it's a true dairy management program. So a lot of the preparation actually comes within the classes. So, we'll have a class on reproduction, and you you learn the physiology, you learn kind of the practical on-farm management, and then you do a lot of the data analysis and evaluation, which pretty much mirrors what we do here at the Dairy Challenge. So even though, you know, the two-year schools, we can't compete in the contest, I bring my students here to the academy, which is the sort of the practice contest. I don't know if you've talked about it a lot yet, but the ones I bring are actually freshmen, and then they can compete in the regionals their second year, and that's kind of the process I've fallen into that works. So the academy is a lot of their prep along with their coursework, and then you know, if I have a group that's really excited, we do some extra out of the class stuff as well.
Very well. Joe, Jeff said that you're seasoned. How many years have you been coaching, and how many times you been in the winner's circle?
We've done well. We've been very blessed to kind of get the hang of it and know how to analyze a farm and those types of things. There's a lot of competition here. There's a lot of skilled individuals and coaches, and so it takes a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, the right farm on the right day for all this to happen. So I've been involved in this some form of dairy challenge since the beginning, and I was utilizing farm analysis in my classes back in the 90s. Just coming through the two universities that I went through, both as an undergrad and as a master's degree. So the idea of doing real life evaluation, the communication skills, all that stuff, and then presenting in front of a dairy producer, I've been using that in the classroom since the 90s, actually. And then the idea of Dairy Challenge kind of originated at Michigan State, and it's kind of built from there. So I've had a role in it for the last 23 years, I guess, at some point.
How do you go about picking the students that end up competing?
For us, it starts as a freshman now for us, and we've built a kind of a legacy, I guess, and it's a selection process. They earn their way through, starting in their freshman classes. The seniors become mentors to the freshmen, and it just kind of keeps building on itself in that way. Each one of our classes builds on itself. Within our dairy concentration, within our animal science, we've added the practical classes, because a lot of my background is technical school here also. So we have a lot of practical hands-on classes in our 4-year curriculum, which the 4-year students really have benefited from, because it really helps them to see what actually happens on a dairy. You know, we can teach them about amino acids and things like that, nutrition, whatever, hormones, whatever. But if they've never seen a mixer work, or if they've never seen cows be bred, we try to combine all of those things into our curriculum. So by the time they become seniors, we basically take them out to dairies and they work up the dairies. We mix them up in different teams. And there's a team of us, alumni included, that sit down and figure out who are the best ones to stick together. And we're looking for different traits. We're looking for different skills. We're looking for a very balanced team that can handle just about anything thrown at them. So that's kind of our freshmen know what they're getting into from day one in our program, and everything is kind of geared toward this experience this weekend.
Very well. Laura, would you mind talking about some of the benefits and some of the progress you've seen some of your students make over the years while competing?
Yeah, so I definitely have a variety of students, because we know that all students are pretty unique in how they respond to different environments and things like that. And so probably different than some of the schools that compete in this competition. Most of the students that participate on our Dairy Challenge team or group are actually pre-vet students.
Okay.
And so getting them to kind of see that there are other parts of the animal science industry and how they can contribute. And so really breaking it down so that they can truly understand, you know, on a practical level and not just what's in the textbook, right? And so I've had a lot of students that start off really afraid and get overwhelmed with all the information. But as soon as they start to interact with more farmers, they get more comfortable and they realize, like, man, this is really just trying to make a better life for the cow, right? And so I have a lot of students that are very shy, and now they step up in front of a group of audience and present like they were never shy before, you know? So I've had a lot of success like that, and a lot of students that end up getting internships after this, which is probably one of the bigger reasons why I like to bring students to this, so they get exposure to the industry that I've grown up to know and love, but also, you know, see and hear certain things than just from me as the crazy dairy lady. So
You know, I'm curious, how many of your students are from an ag background?
So it varies from year to year. You know, back 10 years ago in our program, the majority of students were from dairies and growing up, and through consolidation in the industry, there's just not that pool of students. So I'm usually, you know, this year I have one student that actually grew up on a dairy that's here out of 7 students I brought. In the program, I have 2 out of about 10 that truly had a dairy background in the kind of the historical sense of their family farm they grew up on. You know, a lot of them just come from rural areas where they may have worked on dairy farms. They, you know, through 4-H, they showed cows and they took an interest in it. Some of them actually are pre-vet students that I advise as a veterinarian. I advise a lot of pre-vet students, and I was like, hey, why don't you take this class? And, you know, they take a dairy class, and then that kind of is the gateway drug to another dairy class. And the next thing you know, they're a dairy challenge, right? So, you know, moving forward as an industry, I think that's a really important thing we have to do, especially in academia, is bring people into the industry, just because, you know, that classic pool of students and workers that grew up with it isn't there. So, you know, I like to think that we're making a good contribution by doing that.
It's very similar. The population in my 30 plus years now in education, when you were dealing with a class of all dairy kids or farm kids, whatever the right definition is, you don't have that anymore. The farm kid is the minority, that they're not there. There's fewer farms, there's fewer everything. So it is the student that maybe showed a cow through 4-H or had an uncle, grandparents that were involved and get involved that way. It's not a classroom full of farm kids anymore, and I don't think it's ever going to be that anymore. If you look, Michigan State brought 11 students here to New York, and just off the top of my head, I think there's only 2 that are from a dairy that's milking cows today, and the rest are associated in one way or another. And one of the members of our actual team 2 years ago didn't know dairy at all and just got interested in this. She was a transfer student. Her interest is actually horses, and has, through this process, gotten involved in dairy and has really grown. And as a coach, that's what I'm looking for. And that's not a lot of what the judges and everybody sees here. But as a coach, and why I stay with education, I know the growth that young lady has gone through in the last, well, all of them, but each one of them has had their own little journey to get to where they do. So how long do you got? And I can tell you all kinds of stories about internships and jobs and everything that this exercise, this dairy challenge has meant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I had a student, that's kind of a proud moment for me, that was not from a dairy, and he came through our program. He actually came to the Northeast Regional that was just up in Glens Falls, up the road from here, and ended up getting an internship at one of the contest dairies for this year, and now he's the herdsman for a 3,000 cow dairy, you know.
What a great story.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, guys, it's obvious to me that you're very passionate about what you do and you work very hard at it. And I just want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the commitment to the students and to the Dairy Challenge. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Brought to you by NitroSure Precision Release Nitrogen. NitroSure delivers a complete TMR for the rumen microbiome, helping you feed the microbes that feed your cows. To learn more about maximizing microbial protein output while reducing your carbon footprint, visit balchem.com/NitroSure.
Well, Jeff, this is what we've been looking for, the 2023 winners of the National Dairy Challenge. Now, before we get started, we're going to have 4 winners.
That's correct.
And I want you to kind of explain to the audience why there are 4 winners. Might be a little different than what they're normally used to.
You bet, Scott. So because of the number of contest teams, we must have 4 winners, each from a different judging panel and also normally from a different dairy. So that's just how it works out. We can't judge more than that in one day.
Okay, very well. So we got 4 winners, and I think you said there were like 8 contestants in each pod.
Yeah, 8 teams in each one. Okay, so our first winner tonight is University of Guelph.
And the coach, Trevor DeVries.
Trevor DeVries. Okay, can you, first contestant here, can you tell us your name and major?
Sure, I'm Madeline McLennan, and my major is animal biology.
My name is Allison Visser, and my major is honors agriculture.
My name is Corinne Bateman, and my major is food and agricultural business.
And I'm Jonathan Coote, and my major is animal science.
All right, very well. Let me be the first to congratulate you guys. I'm sure that's a lot of work. Now that it's all over, you're relieved?
Definitely,
Definitely relieved. Yeah, good. Now, did everything go as you had planned? Maybe talk just a little bit about that. Let's go with you, Corinne. So, did everything go as expected? The plan you had put together, it all went perfectly?
We did a lot of preparation for the competition in terms of, making our slideshow, but also talking to a lot of industry experts through the University of Guelph, but also in New York State, and really feeling out what the competition was going to look like. So yeah, we definitely thought we were prepared coming in. And then you get to the farm, and walking around a 3,000 cow dairy is A, a lot of steps, and B, a lot of time. So by the time we came home, it was it was overwhelming. It was fun. It was a great learning experience, but it was overwhelming to come home and then have like 4 or 5 hours to be able to put our presentation together. So yeah, did everything go as planned? Probably. It was according to schedule, but it was definitely different than maybe we had planned for in the beginning.
Okay. And what role did you play on the team? Did you guys have your own specific roles?
I wouldn't say we had like specific roles, but as my major is food and agricultural business, so I took a financial role. However, our team has worked together in our class before, and we kind of understand how each of us work, what each of our strengths and we really worked together as a team before. If you shoot out an idea and the team says, that's maybe not something that I agree with, that's totally fine, because the 4 of us, if we work together, we understand the strengths and weaknesses of our team. And so we're able to, the opportunities that we came up with today were based on things we've done before, but also on everyone's input, not one person specifically.
Yeah. Madeline, I'm going to start with you down there. Give me an idea of what you think the keys of success were for your team.
I think adding on to what Corinne said, we had a lot of preparation. We had really great coaches that guided us through everything and allowed us to set up a lot of those meetings with industry professionals to give us a good perspective, as well as through our class, we had a lot of preparation and feedback through our own versions of mini dairy challenges, and I think that helped us a lot.
Yeah, good. So Allison, I'm sure you've got some underclassmen back home that are looking to do this next year. What kind of advice are you going to give them?
That's a tough one. I think you just have to go with your gut sometimes, suggest something that you are unsure of. We always do a lot of digging through different things. You have to try different things, and they don't always end up being the suggestion you put in your presentation. So you just have to take the time and go through it and not be afraid to fail. You might go through a whole thing and then discover you're not going to make any money on the end. So you have to go back and start at the beginning, and it's frustrating, but that's sometimes what you have to do. And you have to learn to rely on your teammates and trust them to do their best, because you have a time constraint, and that's one of the hardest things. You have to have something that all of you collectively can present, but at the same time, you can't all be doing all parts of it. So you have to be able to let parts go and trust your teammates and work together.
Wow. Allison, that's great advice. Jonathan, I want you to think back for when you first started your Dairy Challenge adventure. Think of Jonathan then, think of Jonathan now. What kind of progress have you made? What kind of growth have you made?
I think the major thing, and it's of course the goal of this whole presentation, is to learn a lot. And I think that's something that I very much took away, especially from industry sponsors and other people that we've had come in to talk to us either throughout our course or that we brought in for preparation for this. And I think it's really helped me kind of fine tune what I think a good dairy farm is and how to improve a dairy farm and maximize the production and efficiency on these farms. And it's really changed the way I look at dairy farms now. Instead of being awed by the allure of a newer barn, I can look at maybe some of the management aspects that maybe go unnoticed when you first walk into a new barn.
Yeah, excellent. Great answer. Folks, this has been a great interview. Thank you for joining us this evening, and congratulations. All right, Jeff, we're back here now with our second winner. I'm going to give you the honor of announcing winner. Which dairy was this? Dairy?
This was Dairy D.
All right.
Okay.
The winner is?
The winner is Cornell University.
Awesome. Congratulations, Cornell.
Yeah, Cornell is coached by Andrew LaPierre and Mike Van Amburgh.
All right, awesome.
They're having a good time now. They've been put through the rigors.
Yeah.
So, and you may not be aware, but basically 24 hours, you have to look through data, walk a dairy, put a presentation together, and then they go before the judges. So I'd say they're happy now. It's all done.
Yeah, good deal.
Yeah.
So why don't we start down on the end here? Would you mind introducing yourself and tell us just a little bit about yourself? Yep, and maybe what your role was on the team if you had roles.
I'm Caroline Lafferty. I'm a senior here at Cornell University studying animal science with a concentration in dairy management and an ag business minor. I was mostly the finance person on this year's team, but I also helped out in some other areas as well.
Blake?
I'm Blake Wadsworth from Cornell University, animal science, dairy management. On the team this year, I did some nutrition work, some repro work, all around kind of.
All right, very well. Thanks, Blake.
Yep. Kevin Jess, senior at Cornell University, double majoring in ag science and animal science. Helped some with the repro and then some also with some cow management, helping with some production stuff.
Very well, thank you.
Emily Starseski from Cornell University, majoring in animal science, concentrating in dairy management, helped a lot with facilities and also some employee management.
All right, great. So, Emily, I'm going to start down there with you. So, what do you think the keys to your success was?
I think the keys to our success were time management and working well as a team.
So, Kevin, why don't you talk about that a little bit? What is the process that you guys went through in becoming a champion?
It really just kind of took a lot of practice together as a team and kind of getting to know how we all worked and being able to help each other out in the best ways we could without wasting time and being I really, as Emily said, just learning how to be time efficient through practicing a little more, getting to know each other, and then figuring out how our team functions.
So when did you start preparing for this? Has it been months?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, months. It's been since the beginning of the semester back in February or so.
Okay. All right. Very well.
So what I want to know is, were you confident in your presentation going in?
For the most part, we were pretty confident. I feel like there were some things that we caught after the fact that we were second thinking a little bit, but confident for the most part, yeah. We were pretty happy with it.
Okay. Were there any arguments or disagreements as you're trying to picking those top 2, 3, 4 opportunities?
I think we kind of had this process of where we threw out a bunch of ideas and then we kind of talked through each of them and prioritized them that way. And then as we got lower on the list, we were just like, okay, if we're not going to have time, we're not going to do them. And then we might have had a disagreement about like the top few, but we talked it out to figure out which ones we really needed to prioritize.
Okay. Let's start, Emily. I'd like to know what you're going to do after graduation.
After graduation, I'm looking to go into herd and employee management, going to the Dominican Republic in August to learn Spanish, and then going to implement that on farm.
Good for you.
Yep.
Kevin?
Once I graduate, I'm going to University of Nebraska for their feed yard management trainee program to get a little more involved with the beef industry.
All right. Very cool. Cool.
So after I graduate, I'll be going back to Eildon Tweed Farm, where I come from, 1,400 cow dairy right here in Saratoga County, about 25 minutes from here, actually.
All right, cool.
Doing a little bit of crop work, cow work, all around.
Very good.
And I'll be joining the Farm Credit East team as a business account analyst in the Claverack office right here in Eastern New York as well.
All right. Congratulations.
So
congratulations all.
Yeah. So do you think this experience is preparing you for that job and career choice as you go out in the field?
Absolutely. I want to be on the consultant track at Farm Credit, and I think this experience is what kind of made that more evident to me, especially doing Dairy Academy last year.
Okay.
Very well. Congratulations, folks. Thanks for joining us here this evening at the Real Science Exchange.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jeffrey, we're getting down to the end. We've got winner number 3.
Yes.
Once again, you've got the honors, sir.
Okay, hand me the envelope. So the winner that we're talking to this time, University of Wisconsin River Falls.
Excellent.
Coached by Sylvia
Congratulations.
Kehoe. Yeah, congratulations for sure. So before we get started, let's just go down. Give us your name, kind of your major, and what your role was in this.
My name is Ben Stone. I'm a dairy science major with a minor in chemistry. My role was more the herd health aspect and also looking at those heifer inventory numbers on our farm.
My name is Haley Kirkhoff. I'm a senior at UWRF this year. I'll be graduating soon. I'm majoring in agribusiness with a minor in Spanish, and I was a finance person.
Majoring in agribusiness. Okay.
My name is Allison Wagner. I'm also from the University of Wisconsin River Falls, and I am a dairy science major, and I focus more so on the nutrition and parlor.
My name is Grace Haas. I am a dairy science major and I have a minor in agriculture business. And my role on the team was going over like the reproduction and that sort of stuff.
Okay. So it sounds like y'all were very, I don't want to say segregated for lack of a better word. You each had your roles.
Yes.
Did you talk a lot, or how did you come up with your original opportunities?
We bounced a lot of different ideas off of each other, and I think that was one thing that made our team really strong, is that we're all very knowledgeable about all of our areas, so we can bounce ideas off of each other and just kind of hone in on what we want to talk about for that specific area.
Okay. Y'all agree with that?
Yeah, I would
Anything else you'd add?
echo what Grace said. I think that each of us kind of had a little bit of an advantage in certain areas in terms of being able to deep dive in some of those things, but being able to bring it back to that team aspect and say, hey, does that make sense? Like, am I thinking this right? Like, does this make sense if I explain it to you this way? I think was extremely beneficial in being able to kind of hone in on some of those main opportunities that we were looking at on our farm.
So it sounds like teamwork was one of the keys to success. Anything else you'd point to?
I don't know. So as someone who doesn't really come from a dairy background, working with Grace, Ben, and Allison was really great. As a finance person, I can tell you what those ratios need, but essentially with this contest, if that farm can't afford to implement the recommendations, it's kind of all for naught. And then they did a really great job at kind of explaining some things to me because, again, I don't come from that dairy background, so it was really helpful.
So what was the preparation to get here?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I was actually just going to say, I think that that's probably one of the biggest things for me personally is just that preparation. In terms of those classes that we had at school, our work with our coach, our work with industry professionals, and some of those other experiences that we've had within the industry, and have had opportunities to go to because of our university. I think that's been a big help in terms of learning more about the things that kind of come into industry analysis and farm analysis. So
yeah, I would add going to the Midwest Dairy Challenge. I think that was really great prep for us. And then Ben and I also were at the National Academy last year in Green Bay, and that was also a huge help in prep for today.
Okay, so the regionals and the academy.
Yeah, those competitions, I know myself, I'm getting better each competition I go to, and just building off that knowledge that I've learned at that previous competition.
Do you guys have a feel for how the Dairy Challenge has impacted your prospects for your future career? Any thoughts about that?
Oh, I think I can go first. At Midwest, I met a gentleman who had reached out to me earlier in the week saying, stop by my booth at the career fair. I talked to him again here at National Challenge, and I have an interview with him in 2 weeks about a potential job. So yeah, the Dairy Challenge networking opportunities have greatly helped me in my career.
Yeah, excellent story. Yeah, good.
yeah, I would for sure say that in terms of like professional development and some of those skills that you don't necessarily get to enhance in the classroom, this is a great opportunity to do some of that and network with industry professionals and kind of just build your network as well.
Yeah, good. As we kind of close out here, I'd like to get an idea of what you guys are planning to do after graduation. And so, Grace, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I will be graduating December of 2023, and I'm currently in the process of getting into grad school.
Okay, good.
I actually have a job lined up with a feed mill from my hometown, Farmers Grain and Feed in Allenton, so that's where I'm going to be headed back to.
Very good. Going to do nutrition work, or what are you going to do there?
Yeah, ideally getting into nutrition work, so have some training ahead of me, but that's what we're going for.
Good for you.
So I'm looking at getting into either ag finance, which is kind of my niche, or appraisal. Looking at farm credit, other agribanks, etc.
Yeah, so you were talking before also that you're going to a minor in Spanish, and so how do you plan to deploy that?
You know, I would, if I could be like a financial analyst or like a finance advisor who visits farms, and if they have like Spanish speaking workers where I could communicate with them, I think that would be really great. But until I find that opportunity, I'll just be watching a Netflix show in Spanish, so I keep up with it.
All right, very well.
I too am also graduating like Grace in December of 2023, and I'm also looking at going into grad school.
Very good.
So what area do you want to go into? Because you said you're graduating with a degree in chemistry?
A minor in chemistry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a degree in dairy science with a minor in chemistry. I'm looking more towards that transition cow, or maybe some like metabolists, and how that works and affects those cows going through calving.
Oh, excellent. Jeff, we may want to talk to him later.
Yeah, we might. So I've got one last question. Honestly, now that this is over, what did you think of the judge's presentation, and was yours better?
Oh, I wouldn't say ours is better, but definitely different.
But how was it different?
Yeah, I think just in terms of experience and like judges' experience and what they can see on a farm is definitely different from what we are seeing and experiencing on a farm. And just at our level and of experience and education, it's those things that we might not have time to look at within a 24-hour period, or can't necessarily see out of data. So definitely think that it was different in that sense. But
Well, congratulations, folks. The future's bright for the ag industry with folks like you going into industry. So thanks for joining us here at the Real Science Exchange.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, Jeffrey, this is the one we've been looking for, the fourth winner of the 2023 National Dairy Challenge competition. So if you will announce the final winner, Jeff, would appreciate it.
You bet, you bet. Congratulations is to Purdue University, coached by Jackie Borman.
Excellent, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe let's just start, if each of you will start down here, just give us your name, major, maybe what your role was in the team.
My name's Lane Bullenbacher. I'm an animal science major, and I really took the photos on the farm mostly.
My name's Chad Patterson. My major is agriculture systems management. On the farm, I focused on facilities and animal health.
My name's Tobin Smith. I'm an animal science major, and my role's been going through and analyzing the parlor and parlor data.
And I'm Miriam Cook. I'm a major in agriculture economics. And so I guess I was kind of like financials and then just overall, and don't let these boys fool you. They were a big part of it, especially Lane. He wasn't just pictures. He did a lot to help with that. So they kind of keep me in check also as well.
Very well. Tobin, my first question is going to be for you. How in the world do you grow a mustache like that? I've been trying to do that for 64 years, and I have to color mine in with a crayon, but that's a heck of a mustache.
Well, first of all, thank you. And second of all, it was a so-and-so experiment. Masks were on, and there was a lot of people not looking at my face from the nose down. So it's like, hey, how long can I get away with this? And then I got to a point where I was like, well, now I'm invested, and that was November of 2020. So it's been sitting there for a little while.
Yeah, great story. Great story. So Miriam, did everything go as planned today? The smooth as silk, or were there any bumps along the way?
Oh, heck no. We had a lot of bumps. It was quite a shock, I think, to find out where we ended up here winning. I mean, practicing, I was like super proud of our team, where we're coming from, and I was like, we have like a diverse set of knowledge base. I was like, oh, we could do really well. When it came to the team, I mean, finding out the farm, I was already like in my head, super anxious. These boys can attest to it. I was like, because I knew the farm beforehand, just knowing like their prefix and everything like that. And I was like, this is a really good farm. Like, there's no way we're gonna find anything problem wise to talk about. And then when we got to the farm again, the same story. Like, there was only a handful of things. I was like, what else are we gonna do? And then these boys were just like, I don't think we need anything more. And I'm still like sitting there like, I was like, we can't just talk about like 2, maybe 2.5 things. Like, usually it's 4 in practice. So I was like, no way. I was like, no way. Like, you're gonna do it. And I was like, and then when it came to the presentation and everything like that, like, definitely a couple of these, I could see their nerves when they did it. And I was like, the pressure got to us. I was like, but they came. I was proud of us beforehand. And then like, I was actually, they announced, I didn't understand, like, they announced like participating teams in no specific order. And so when they announced all the teams, I thought they were announcing all of them. I didn't get that they weren't announcing the top 2. They did those separately. So they announced the participating ones for Dairy C, and they didn't say our name. And I was like, oh my gosh, we did that bad that they didn't even need to say our names. So I was shocked. Yeah. So.
Good. So let's back up a little bit. You did end up winning despite some of your anxiousness. So what do you attribute to the win? What prepared you for this? Chad, let's start with you.
Honestly, I grew up on a dairy farm. So coming from a dairy farm really helped a lot. Knowing what you need to look for, knowing how things should operate really helped a lot. There's a couple classes we took in school, dairy management. Those helped out. Our coach helped.
Okay. Lane, anything you'd add?
Yeah, Professor Borman took us to quite a few great dairies to evaluate, and yeah, lots of similarities to a great dairy like this, and we took a lot of time practicing.
Yeah. So I'll just throw this out to everybody, but I'm just kind of curious. Have there been aspects of the dairy challenge that has prepared you for your next step in your career?
I'll start us out here. I'd definitely say it's the networking aspect, and it's not just with people in the industry. It's various students that are also competing, and personally, I can attest that Miriam, no matter where we go, always seems to find people that she knows, and she'll fly away for 5 minutes when we're in a social area, and she's like, "Oh, I'll be right back," and she's chatting it up with everyone else, and been able to make those connections, and then also make those connections within industry leaders, and even on our bus ride back, we got to have a great conversation with the CEO of Select Sire. His name escapes me.
David.
David, yes.
David's last name.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's little moments like that that we've been able to meet people that will, no matter to what extent, be able to help progress us as individuals within our careers or personally.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah.
So I've got one question. I need an honest answer now that this is over. You said you're a little anxious about your presentation, but was it better than the judges? How would you compare them? Anybody?
I would say not quite. The judges are always right. That's what I always say.
Yeah, is that your honest answer, Lane?
Yep.
I think I'll need a couple weeks to process the judges' presentations. Actually, ironically, our coach, Dr. Borman, before we went in the room to see the coach's presentation, she pulled me aside and she said, "I know what they're gonna say. I want to prepare you so your reaction is not bad and you don't ask too many questions and grill them." And so, like, she told me beforehand so that I wasn't like overwhelmed, because I definitely disagreed with what they had said. And I was like heavily texting another member of another team that they're like, there's no way that they're actually saying, this farm is leveraged right now, but yeah, build a new barn. That's totally great. So I was like definitely questionable, but then like, I take a step back, right, and just briefly like looking at financially wise and kind of that being risk averse and everything like that makes sense. But I mean, I'd like to say like you're convincing the judges you are right. So I mean, I think we should, do a little bit better than them, but they're smart, so they have experience, we don't.
Would you guys mind just kind of letting us know what your plans are after graduation? Lane, why don't we start with you?
I'd like to go back to the family dairy farm.
Okay, and where's that at?
In northern Indiana, a small town called Argus.
Okay.
I'm only a junior, so I still got another year, but I also plan on going back to my family's dairy farm. I'm actually from the eastern shore of Maryland.
Okay, very well.
I've got a job lined up in Chicago actually, but it doesn't encompass anything with the dairy industry. Personally, I hadn't stepped foot on a dairy farm up until spring of last year.
Is that right?
This has been quite the trip. I'd say the main reason I'm here is because I made friends with Miriam in our dairy management class this past fall, and she said, "Hey, come out for this class. I think you'd really like it. It'll be fun." And first week and first farm we evaluated, I'm sitting here like, I don't know what I got myself into, and I've learned a lot along the way. But I'll be working for a company called Fletcher International Exports in Chicago. So
Congratulations. Yeah, well deserved.
I wish I had an answer to that question. I do graduate in May, so I should probably find an answer. Tentatively, just kind of doing an off-the-wall internship at a ranch in Canada, working with beef cattle. Beyond that, my dad would like the answer to be to come back to the farm. My answer is probably going to be I like international things and policy, and I really like staring at Excel sheets and numbers. So I'm trying to figure that out. After today, a nutritionist said I should go into nutrition. I don't believe I should do that, but he said I was good at it. Just kind of figuring out and weighing all that, just trying to find in something that I really fall in love with.
All right. Very well.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, congratulations. Job well done. And thank you for joining us here at the Real Science Exchange. Jeffrey, thank you for joining me once again.
Appreciate the invite.
To our loyal audience, as usual, thank you for joining us and spending some time with us here. We hope you had fun. We hope you learned something, and we hope to see you next time here at the Real Science Exchange, where it's always happy hour and you're always among friends.
We'd love to hear your comments or ideas for topics and guests. So please reach out via email to anh.marketing@balchem.com with any suggestions, and we'll work hard to add them to the schedule. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating on your way out. You can request your Real Science Exchange t-shirt in just a few easy steps. Just like or subscribe to the Real Science Exchange and send us a screenshot along with your address and t-shirt size to anh.marketing@balchem.com. Balchem's Real Science Lecture Series of webinars continues with ruminant-focused topics on the first Tuesday of every month, monogastric-focused topics on the second Tuesday of each month, and quarterly topics for the companion animal segment. Visit balchem.com/realscience to see the latest schedule and to register for upcoming webinars.